thanks so much for coming on today. This is like episode 2, so this is already one more than I thought I'd do. And
Yeah.
I thought, do you know what, mate? If I just explain like the purpose of why I think these conversations are going to be really important, we know a lot of people we know a lot of people are dieting. We know a lot of people are trying to lose weight, and we know the statistics and the percentages, and a lot of people really struggle and fail, right? And I thought, do you know what? Let's have conversations. Let's create a platform where people who had been struggling, who are now finding success in this area, and perhaps this will help someone else, man. That share the journey, that share the story. Because I mean, even as me, right, as a coach, and I help people find solutions, permanent solutions, I post the before and afters. So I thought, let's have a conversation about what goes on in between. Like,
Yeah.
let's see if that can positively impact someone who's struggling, who's on their journey right now, trying to lose weight, all of that kind of stuff, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, mate, just on what we were talking about there, for someone who's been in good shape, physically fit, into your sport, into your football, what do you? Maybe a lot of people will resonate with this. How do you think how did you find yourself kind of maybe not where you wanted to be with your health, maybe feeling a little bit out of shape? What was it, like 6, 7, 8 months ago? Like what goes into that? How do you find yourself there?
Just think letting it slide, and then the biggest thing for me is having been stopped playing football for 10 years now. It's you forget how fit you are when you play sort of like semi-pro sport, where you're training twice a week, hard, maybe doing a little bit of training out with that, and you take it for granted. And then you have that little lull period, like I'm sure you did when you stopped playing. You go, right, well, this is brilliant, no training, do what I like, and just sort of like take a step off it. And then, from my perspective, I went and worked in the oil rigs, and then before you know it, it creeps up on you, and then a little bit goes on, and you think, oh, it's just a little bit, it's fine. And I did always keep training, but obviously training in the gym, thinking, oh, I'm relatively fit training in the gym, it was nowhere near the fitness required to play football. And then before you know it, you're just putting more and more weight on. Then I got to the point where sort of harder exercise, like running or stuff like that, was too difficult. Just and then make excuses saying I can't train because I'm too heavy, it's sore. And then before you know it, my perspective is probably like, in my opinion, sort of 3 stone overweight. And then you've hit the wall then. And as I said, I was still training. I still say I was relatively fit considering the size, because then I got into cycling with the lads, and then the lads would be like, "Oh, you're half decent considering you weigh like 3 stone more than me," type thing. And then when I got in contact with you, like I said, I had a 5-a-side football tournament with the podcast that I do, and like every single person on the planet went, "You've put weight on," and I was just like, that was a straw that broke the camel's back, because I was like, "Duncan, you used to be mega fit. You're not now.
Yeah,
It's now
yeah.
or never." 42.
That was my
But
next
it just
question. Like,
uh,
what was the wake up call there? Is it others like being
yeah, well,
surprised with?
I think maybe you hide it for yourself and just say, "Oh, it'll be all right, it's fine." Then you sort of go, or I was going, I'm in my 40s now, I'm a middle-aged man, etc. But I knew deep down I didn't mean that, because I'm still going to the gym and smash a spin class, and I'm giving it, maxing it out, and I'm thinking you're still fit, and you go, but look, you're miles overweight. And then, because I had played football for years, even in a kickabout, and then I went back to my hometown, and like every single person was like, because I used to be a twig and a winger when I played a flying machine, and then it was just like, "You've put the weight on, you've put the weight on," and you're like, "Oh, I've seen you for 22 years, etc." And then I was like, "Yeah," I says, "the fire's still burning," and that just lit it, you know what I mean? So like, and then I got in contact with yourself, and then, well, the rest of the history, but we're en route to it being history.
30 pounds leaner over the course of 6 to 7, 8 months. I think that's absolutely insane. How awesome is that? That actually receiving those negative comments from other people, which I'm sure they didn't mean anything too
Yeah,
bad, but like what as if people have the audacity to come up to you and say, Jesus, you like, what the hell has happened?
I know, but there's part of me, even when people are saying, like you said, I think they're intentionally meaning it to be bad, but at the same
No.
time you're going, not acceptable, but you are saying to yourself, I don't play sport anymore, I'm in my 40s, I'm a dad. But as I said, the mind still thinks I'm 25 and still playing football, so that's why it was said. But it's mad how it works, because I didn't think it was achievable at all, to be honest. I was as I'm sure you'll say, but our first conversation, like I did say to you, like how negative was I? Because I thought I was a total cynic that
No,
any of this was even achievable.
what
Like
do you think?
I'm the number one person who just think you thought people can tell me whatever they want, it just won't happen. Like, and that's even once we had the chat, I still probably believed that.
Yeah. I remember the first conversation. You were so rooted in that belief that you couldn't
Yeah,
even. What was the initial goal was just what was it? Just lose a stone, right? And you
yeah,
would just that would have been an outstanding result.
yeah. Now we're 2 stone and still going.
Almost £30 leaner, dude.
Yeah, it's mental. And as I keep saying to everybody, it's not a diet. It's not a diet, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I have a lifestyle. I have a structure,
Mm.
and I've a better understanding of food, but it's not a diet because if it was a diet, it wouldn't be achievable for me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? When it can become a part of who you are.
Yeah, and that in that time you went, oh, it's a lifestyle change, and you're like, yeah, I get that, and you're sort of going, is it really blah blah blah? But it is now because no, well, like the biggest thing is the football, right? I'll take a protein bar at the match now, whereas before it's again pie, a burger, whatever. But I choose just to go. I don't buy any food. I'll buy a cup of tea and I take a protein bar with me, and that gets me my fill. You know what I mean? So things like that. I go places now and I choose to have other things. Yeah, don't like as you've said before. Like, of course I would say, oh, that looks lovely. I'd love to have that, but I don't know. But the biggest thing is now, like, is the dead calories thing. I used to like horse stuff into me that, like, yeah, okay, there's not much calories in that, but I could eat 20 of them. Whereas now I'm looking for something a bit more substantial.
It's amazing how just beginning to make more considered choices and just understand the cost of the choices that you're making. It's like going to football, having the pie, having the pint, having whatever it might be. Just looking at the cost of those choices.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the food though, because I've never ever looked at calories on food ever. And then I start to look at things going, yeah, that'd be nice. And then go, but look, there's like 400 calories. That's basically a meal in a bite. And then you go, or I could have this and I'll be filled for a while. And I genuinely, that's the first thing I do now at the supermarket is look at the calories, where I never ever do that. And that's not because I'm some sort of like diet freak. It's just I'm looking for something that's going to be a better option for me. And
Mm.
that's the biggest changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. And what's crazy about that is all you're doing is looking at the energy in the food that you're consuming. Like that. That's you haven't, dude. You've lost like you're almost £30 leaner, and you haven't tracked your food on any.
I say I did. Somebody just rang me there.
Get it on Do Not
Swear.
Disturb. You do.
Right.
This is a famous podcast. Get that on Do
Yeah.
Not Disturb.
I don't even know how you do that. Can you edit this? You'll edit this out. How do you get Do Not Disturb on?
Oh my god, mate! Do Not Disturb is a game
Aye.
changer.
How do I get that on?
I just scroll. I just get your finger and slide it from top to bottom, and then where it
Uh-huh.
says maybe general, just go. If you go Do Not Disturb, no one can phone you, WhatsApp you, or message you.
All right, okay.
Okay, my phone lives on Do Not Disturb.
Okay. Right. So anyway, where was we? Sorry about
That's all right, mate. No problem at all. What were we talking about? Well, actually, do you know? Let's go. Let's rewind a little bit, mate.
that.
Just in terms of that belief that you had before we started about why you thought you couldn't do this. What was that? Was that just trying to do? What was it? Just diets that
Yeah,
hadn't worked, things that hadn't worked.
so I'd done my fitness pal and that, but then I think that was part of, to be blunt, probably cheating. Saying, oh, I've logged that, but maybe not logging someone else. And but at that point, I'd no understanding of food, and then just I'd had like 3 or 4 trainers who are good trainers, don't get me wrong, but probably just cutting corners and just lying to myself, to be honest. I do believe now, having done what I've done, there has to be a total light bulb moment for it to actually happen, where you've actually had enough of it.
Mm.
And then that was it. But just, and then I did the calorie tracking, and it was mind numbing, to be honest. And like I say, once you get to understand the food and you get a routine, and you're fine with that routine, it becomes second nature. You know what I mean?
So, from a nutritional perspective, what have been the absolute game changer habits?
Probably prepping meals, to be honest. That's probably the biggest thing. I've got my Sunday routine. Well, it's not even a routine. I just get up and I go to the gym normally, and then I'll come back. I'll have the stuff out for my meals for work for the week, and it's literally 30 minutes, 45 minutes max. And then I've got my meals for work for the week. And then that's that sorted. And then And at night, I'll go and I'll buy my protein mousses or my protein bar for my snack during the day, and then that's me knows by Sunday night when I come sit down, I'm sorted for the week. Because half the reason before is maybe you go to work, oh, I've not got my sandwiches or I've not got whatever, I'll just go and buy the McDonald's or I'll go get a pie for Greg's or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like organisation, planning, and I'm not one for kind of real all that, but I've done it. It becomes a habit, a routine, and then it becomes easier.
Yeah, but then it also you get that value from it as well. So it's
Ah,
it's a positive, repeatable action. It's like Sunday, right? This is what I need to do, and then you also can begin weighing up the cost of if what happens if I don't do it. What habits do I begin leaning into if I don't have that one meal
yeah,
structured? Your lunch. If you've got that lunch plan 5 times Monday to Friday, or even Monday to Thursday, I try to get people just trying to do it 1, 2, 3 times across that week initially, but you have that foundation of value, but also you're aware of like what would slip if I didn't do this.
yeah. No, definitely. And then overeating probably another thing I realise now because I probably overeat all the time, whereas definitely since where I'm at now, even I'm saying on a Saturday and I'm having a car out with the family, I cannot eat as much now. It's a fact. I just can't.
Mm,
And I'll still maybe have the old, I'll buy a chip supper with a chaser, but can't eat a chaser. Like, it's just, the stomach seems to have shrunk.
mm, mm. And also just probably just your brain and your gut actually begin probably communicating a little bit
Yeah,
better.
exactly. It was definitely the brain communicating saying, that's enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas
yeah, yeah,
before, that the big thing I was is probably it was too much moreish foods I was eating back in the day where I'd like to say, oh, I love that, and I'll just keep eating them. And obviously,
yeah.
really calorific, and that's what you said, but they never fill you up.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest habits to break for a lot of people that consume. I mean, look, we don't need to create a diet or a lifestyle that we can that's eradicating processed food. We want to have foods that we actually enjoy,
Yeah,
like
yeah, totally.
chocolate bars, whatever it might be. But like you say, there's a couple of things that obviously there's shit ton more calories in them generally, and they're also really poor for appetite regulation. So when we eat them, we actually just want to consume more of them, and that is a hard cycle for a lot of people to break, especially if you've got someone that is eating or has a diet that is consists of lots of tasty food. Like, people don't even drink coffees anymore. It's like coffee and syrup. It's cans of Coke, right? It's everything's really highly palatable, and beginning to lean away from that, which we kind of need to do. We don't want our diets to be plain and boring, but at the same time we can't be adding sugar and syrup to everything, because all of a sudden vegetables and water tastes like people can't drink or eat them.
Yeah. No, but like you say, it's I had a good point to make, and I've just lost it. No, that was a big thing, just eating too much as well, and then everything. But as I said, it's not being a diet. That's the main thing for me. It's just I'm finding it. I've just got my routine. I find it quite easy. It's
Mm.
obviously, as we've discussed, slow doing a little bit at the minute, but it's fine. It was always going to happen because the bigger picture is my goal was a stone and I've doubled that. So like what we're in, everything now is a bonus.
Yeah, you're still moving in the right direction, right?
No, 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 exactly. Aye, definitely. But yeah, but I say to everybody as well, like the first sort of 6 weeks, Luke, when we started, like I was hungry, like because obviously what I'd been used to, I felt. But a couple of people at my work are like sort of on the wagon and were saying struggling and and I'm sort of going, well, stick with it because first 6 weeks for me, I felt like an addict where I was like, I need to eat, I need to have something. And once I got beyond that and into the cycle, then it became obviously easier, and then the weight started to drop off quicker.
Mm.
But the first 4 to 6 weeks was tough, and I would say you'll know better than me. That's probably when most people quit.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
did feel like quitting. I was like, I don't know if I can do this because I feel because it's ridiculous. 'Cause I felt like when there's actual people starving in the world, I feel like I'm starving myself, which was ridiculous. You know what I mean? But
Really?
and honestly, that's how I felt, and that's what I say to people. Like I say, it's like my dad jazz it up. Can I say the first 4 to 6 weeks are tough, and I says, and then you get into a routine, and then you'll start to see weight picking away and coming off, and then once the weight start, that's a driver, is it? And you start to see it come off, and then it's the
What
next goal, and then the
what
next
kept
goal.
what kept you in the fight then? Why didn't you give up? Which you
Yeah,
probably
well,
have would have done before.
well, for a start, I was, I'm paying you. but that wasn't the biggest thing. But then you're being challenged because it's almost like a questioning your own integrity is the wrong word, but if you just quit, like what's that about? Like what's that say about your character that just because you couldn't eat as much food as you want or have as much snacks as you wanted, you're just going to chuck it all in? You're here because you said you wanted to do something about it, so let's stick with it and stay in the fight, as they say.
So was there something that made you feel like you were still on the right path, even though that first 6 weeks kind of sucked a little bit? Like, what were you? What because obviously were you accumulating small wins that still reinforced that maybe even though this
No,
sucked a little bit, like
I'm,
I'm still.
I'm quite a cynical man. The driver was what everybody said. That's always been a driver. I don't forget.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, if you've been there before, you can be there again. But there's also a guy, he's left my work now, but there's a guy that I used to work with, and he showed me a picture of what he used to look like, and he's 50, and he looks like he's 20 now. Like, and he was enormous. And I look at him, and he lived the life. He lived the life, and he still did, like you were saying, things at weekends and that. But I just used to go at him, have a bit of banter with him, saying, "Look at you prepping all this food, and what a boring life, etc., etc." And then he's actually been a bit of a driver also because I'm like looking at him in his 50s, and he's in better nick than he was when he was 25. So it can be done, and then you sort of fall into that. Well, I've lost 2 stone now, so you can be in good shape in your 40s.
Yeah, mate, we had this conversation this week, didn't we? What? How old are you?
Yeah,
43.
I'm 43 end of this month.
43, so it's your birthday, and I was talking about like, mate, we are. I mean, I'm in my I'm not far off 40 myself now, going in and in my late 30s, and like, there's no reason why we can't be absolute physical monsters in our 30s, 40s, and 50s. I mean, there people are, right? There's
But
dads with kids and careers and busy jobs. They're doing kicking serious
like,
ass, right? They're
and you
doing
must
more
know,
than.
you must notice in your game, there's people seem to be training harder and being fitter later in life now. Do you not think? Or you'll know better than me because there's loads of people now in the gym that are like older. I was in a guy in a spin class the other day, and he's kind of, you have somebody next to you, match him and stuff, and then I had a bit of crack with him after the class. First time I spoke to him, it's like, plays five-a-side football, he said, 3 times a week. He's in the gym every day. He's like, I asked him how old he, I said, if you don't mind me asking, he was 59. Guy was an absolute animal. Incredible.
Just
And
shows.
it's an inspiration because you're like, well, he's still doing it, and
Yeah,
he's 20 years older than me.
yeah, yeah. I think like the people you're around, especially like in your environment, and if you've got, yeah, if I mean, imagine if you had five of your best mates that were like him.
Yeah, I know. You'd all
Imagine.
be like, you'd all be doing stuff all the time, doing events and just killing it, wouldn't you?
That's so inspiring. So yeah, I think one of the best ways to adopt a new habit or behavior is to get around people that have that habit or behavior that are ahead of you. That's why I want to be around people that are fitter, stronger than me, doing things that are challenging themselves, like stepping out of their comfort zones. I want to do more of that. Like the older I get, I want to challenge myself. Like, can I get fitter and stronger than I've ever been before?
There's
That's
a couple of my mates who do the pod with there. Like I do a bit of cycling, but not. I, I do quite a bit, but they are like hardcore. And I did one spin with them last year, and like, so my average is about on a good day 15 and a half. They're about 18, 19 mile an hour, so they're like they're levels above. And I did one big one here, and I got destroyed, and they were waiting like for about half an hour for me, and like I was like, it was the most humiliating experience of my life, like literally. But I'm looking forward to getting back on my bike this, well, sort of imminently because I'm 2 stone lighter. It'll be a different sport.
yeah, dude. And start to close the gap between you and them now. Close that
Well,
gap.
that's what I mean. So I'm not going to dive in straight away, but once I do a bit and get my cycling legs back, and I'm intrigued to see if I can, because I was totally burst, like, because 3, 4 mile an hour, as you know, cycling's huge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But being 2 stone lighter, it's literally going to be a different sport going up the hills. It will be.
So how do you think being as this leaner version of you now, fit, maybe hopefully fitter, hopefully stronger, hopefully more confident? What do you think? Like, what doors do you think that's open for you in
Well,
terms of?
it's opened even at this age, other avenues of fitness again that I thought were closed off. Like I said, went for a run last night outside, and I was running on the treadmill. Like I say, I haven't run since like an out and out just running probably for about 10 years. So it's like, I'm not saying I'm loving running, but it's another option to do that and then have a go at other things. Again, I'm quite keen on a high rocks. I've not signed up for one yet, but I quite
Mm,
like the idea of it because it's a break up between exercises and just shows that a body can can do it, but I just try to like go a little bit more because obviously there's been plenty of injuries through football, so I'm just wanting to
Mm.
see can the body take it type thing before I go and sign up to anything. But it's just opened up more doors just to do other stuff. And the sports that I have been doing will be different sports because I'm fitter.
What do you think you know now that you didn't know before?
One, that you can lose weight. That's the biggest one because I genuinely didn't think it was possible. And then two, uh, food and just movement because I like when people ask me how I did it, I say 3 square meals and a snack and moving. Because when we first had that first call, we got my phone up with a rough look at my phone, and I was doing about 1,000 steps a day, and now I'm hitting most days 11,000,
Mhm.
and that's probably the biggest thing is moving. So when I speak to maybe some older people, even than me, they're like, "Oh, I can't do any exercise." And I goes, "Just move." That's probably the food and the movement. That's the two biggest things.
Yeah,
Having an understanding of food now and eating the right kind of food now, stuff that's going to fuel me. Like I said, I told you at the time, look, I didn't like eat any veg,
yeah,
zero, nada, which I know is incredible. People can't believe that, but it's a fact. And now I
yeah,
do,
yeah,
and I actually enjoy it. Like the other week, I sent you a picture when the first thing I scoffed was the veg,
yeah,
and that's like to anybody who knows me, it's always been a standing running joke with the lads and anybody, my mum, anybody, because I just don't eat any veg, and now I do.
yeah. So leaning, like honestly, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? When on paper, it's that framework I'll use across the board for most people, trying to get people reducing their snacking or like the foods that are typically a lot higher in calories. Like if you can reduce that side of things and actually just build a framework with your diet, which your diet is just the food and drink that you consume. That's it, right? It's like 3 square meals and one snack. And then if you can be really consistent with that as much throughout the week as possible, then all of a sudden you have more flexibility and freedom at the weekend as well. Um, and then on top of that, just move your body a bit more. It's always going to be hard to, the caloric burn you get from that. But like if you're sedentary as fuck, like you
Yeah.
you want to lose weight, you've got to consume a lot less food.
But obviously, it's obviously making it sound great, but it is tough at the same time because obviously I've got 2 kids, busy job, trying to like sometimes to squeeze in the steps can be a problem. But that's what I'm saying. So there has to be commitment. It's not just a case of you do 3 square meals and you move and it'll all be great. There's a bit of commitment. Well, there's a big bit of commitment involved because, as I said, I've been trudging the streets at like 10:30 at night to get my steps in and stuff. And let's be honest, not everybody wants to do that, but obviously it's sometimes the only chance I get. You know what I mean? So it needs to be done. So yeah, it can be done, but there's got to be full commitment to do it.
So on that, what advice would you give to someone, couple of kids, busy job, nowhere near where they want to be with their health right now, maybe out of shape? What advice would you give to them based on where you are right now and what you know and what you've learned?
Well, firstly, I'd say sign up to you because it works. No, but seriously, because again, as I said it, but it's work. And I also say you're not doing anything outside the box, but what you do obviously works because, as we know, as a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine's used you, had the same results. But the big thing is move first. Is get the movement because everybody thinks it has to be hardcore exercise and oh look at shape, man. Just move, and then the food, get an understanding of what you're eating, and once you've got that two things, the weight just comes off a little bit, and like anything else. Like at the time, for example, you told me to do the 5K. I hadn't done one in 10 years. It was like 29:58. Delighted I broke 30 minutes, and now I'm breaking like. But just because each time the weights came off, it gets easier for anything. So then, as the weight comes off, you go, I'll maybe try that because I'm now as heavy. Oh, I could do that, and then you do it quicker and you do it better. And it's like but the big thing is the food and moving. Because everybody likes to say, "Oh, I sit at a desk. What hope have I got?" Well, I sit at a desk now. I used to be a tradesman, but now I sit at a desk. But just get moving in the food and then stick with it because the start will be tough. And it was
Yeah.
tougher for me. I'll be honest. It was tougher for me because I didn't like healthy food. Look, so some people like healthy food, and so they're sort of, in my opinion, halfway there. It's a case of just eating the healthy food and getting moving.
Mm.
But
So
it's me. It
what's
was like chewing on healthy food, going, "This is bang average," and then ended up liking it.
what your palate? Do you think like your palate or your taste buds have changed
Well,
over time?
definitely changed, but Yeah, just got to get in the routine. But you've got to commit to it, and you've got to want to, because what I've realised, if you don't want it, it won't happen. And before, I obviously didn't want it enough. But as I said, I'm in my 40s, you got kids, and you're trying to tell your kids that you used to play sport and were pretty good at it, and they're like, whatever. And you're like, but you have to commit to it and want to. And I think, like you say, that day at the five-side football was the day that made me go, right, that's it, let's do it.
What impact do you think it's had on the family?
Yeah, a good one, because like it takes a while for your missus that you live with to say anything to you, because they're living with you, and then eventually they start to go. But then daily, I'm seeing different people bump into me that they've not seen me for a while, and they're like, Jesus, you've lost some weight.
Mm.
So it's working.
Nice. So now it's gone full circle. It was the negative comments
Aye.
that
Now it's a positive. Exactly. That's almost your full journey, though, isn't it?
yeah.
When it gets to the point where somebody says, "Oh, you're looking well," or "How much weight have you lost?"
What do you think's next for you then, dude? Like where do you want to go?
I want to keep us. There's a little bit more, as we've discussed. I want to pick off. We've got a number in our heads that I want to get to, and then after that, it's just trying to get in shape and fit.
Do you
And
think
then
that do you think there's anything at the moment that you're doing that you couldn't continue doing for the next 12 months?
I've got it. So my routine is do what I do, and then Saturday night I have what I want on a Saturday night. Outside that, I've got my routine. See, people say, "Is that not boring?" Well, no, because I actually enjoy what I'm eating and what I'm doing, doesn't it?
Mm.
Because I genuinely, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be doing it.
Mm.
And ultimately, the bigger picture is in the whole scenario. If I didn't want to do this, I wouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the investment I'm putting into yourself and me is it's a small period of time to hopefully extend my life as long as it can. You know what I mean? That's the main driver. Like, I'm not going to go into like family history, but there's a reason like, I want to be healthy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it is. But you got a
Yeah.
clearer mind. You got a clearer mind. I'm quite a pessimistic kind of human. You know what I mean? So like, but when you get fitter and feel good, you could definitely get rid of the fog in your head
Feel more
and
optimistic.
yeah, and get a bit more positive about things.
It's cool, isn't it, what you said about it being an investment and a short-term investment. Let's just say, you invest in yourself for 6 months, but the investment you make in that 6 months can
Can
completely
change
change
the next 20 years.
like the rest of your life. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is when you think about it like that for sure. And as I said, good mate Davey that's been on board, same with him. Lost a rake of weight working with you as well. You know what I mean? So it's like I think it helps knowing somebody. Obviously, there was Beef was the first one, and then you see things and you get speaking to people, Lee, and you're like people like me, and they're like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And then they add you on Instagram, they're having a look and stuff, and it's like that's how it works, isn't it?
Mm,
But nah, the simplest form is it's the food and the movement. It's not even the training. That's what I say because I trained 5 nights a week
mm,
before. You know what I mean? So it's not that. It was like I just put it into movement and just eating better.
yeah, and just being consistent over time.
The consistency is probably big. And then, from my perspective, because of how I'm wired, it was accountability. Because when, like, as we're well aware, there's a couple of times you've narked me because you got my back up. No, but that's the whole point, isn't it? I'm accountable to you, and you're having a little dig, and rightly so, and then you respond to it or you chuck it. And if you chuck it, then you're in it for the wrong reasons, aren't you?
Yeah, they don't always land right. They don't
Yeah,
always land right.
but that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think just being able to, yeah, I mean, look, you've got to be able to give the hard truth sometimes to people, or a
Yeah,
bit of tough love that comes from a
yeah,
positive place, right? If I had, I sometimes think if I had a coach and this was what would I expect my coach to tell me, and obviously everyone's going to be very different in terms of what they would want, but you want to be told when you're not
yeah,
doing the things that you said you'd do, or at
yeah.
least like understand why you're not doing them and what's
And that's
again
why
what's
I'm
the
saying there's been a lot of positivity in this chat. That's why I'm saying that there is a commitment to be had. It's not just a case so you do said things and it'll all be great. You'll have to like do stuff when you don't want to do stuff, eat stuff when you don't want to eat it, get out there in the piss and rain, like I've sent you videos before, getting steps in when you don't want to because you're trying to hit targets.
yeah
And it's that little things that make a difference because you could easily just sit there and go, well, I only did 2,000 steps instead of 11 because it's raining. You know
yeah
what I mean? I've even had my daughter out there in the piss and rain,
mm.
8-year old walking about me. So it's like,
yeah yeah, but what an awesome example to set for her.
yeah, what's it saying? Even she said it the other day. Obviously, she doesn't really know what's going on, but still saying, "Oh, your belly used to be here, Dad. Now it's here." You know what I mean?
No way, really.
Yeah, aye, exactly.
That's awesome. And now you're out taking her for like getting the steps in, so she's gonna understand. She's gonna have that, because they copy, right, kids. I kids
yeah,
yet, but maybe I will one day. So just
yeah,
understand it. She'll understand the value of movement, right, and just how
yeah,
important it is to move your body.
yeah.
Um, nice, mate. This has been exactly what I wanted it to be. Really appreciate your time. Do you think there's anything else we need to add or go over? Do you think we've covered most of it?
My headphones just died a battery there.
Dude, you are a bloody podcaster.
Yeah, but we've got a proper like studio setup, have we? So we have all the kit there to be used. So this is just off my phone. Two sets of dodgy headphones.
I've brought you down to an amateur level of
No, but
podcasting,
this is,
mate.
yeah, this is how we started.
Was it?
Yeah, totally. We just did it on Zoom, and then as time went on, we stepped up kit.
Yeah, nice. I
definitely
need to
think
get
it'll definitely be a good thing for you, I think, because it's a good platform, and then you're obviously good on socials anyway, so it'll definitely be a good thing, I'd say.
Thanks. Cheers, mate. I wasn't always, but yeah, I kept telling myself I'm not going to use this to make it about myself, the
Yeah,
coaching, or any way try to sell that. I just want to have conversations with people who are in a place where a lot of people are trying to get to. Once you understand like the struggles, the challenges, and then because there be consistency with these conversations. I have these conversations with my clients all the time. Like
yeah,
what's going into what's working right now and why,
yeah,
and like that consistency, that effort, like you say, getting that over that initial 6 weeks, like that trial and improvement, trial and error phase. That I call it, a lot of clients I call it the frustration phase. If you can get through that first 4 to 6 weeks, and then that routine suddenly becomes so much easier.
yeah,
But a big part of my job is just, again, like the accountability side of things. But if I can keep people on track and on plan for as long as possible, I
yeah.
know we're going to get there eventually.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we maybe didn't mention that about the scale thing, because that was a big thing for me, about the weight, because you're weighing every day. Like obviously,
Yeah.
I used to get pretty well, even still now to a point, but before it was really bad. Where if it would go up 3 4 days in a row, I'd properly get down about it, because you're thinking, oh, why is it going the wrong direction? I'm sticking to this, and that's when you have an up like. Well, I remember I got one message off it just shows it's a prerequisite, because you sent me a prerequisite video about I was waiting for the wobble, because everybody must have them. When I remember, like way back when I had like I think 4 or 5 days in a row where it went up, and then it's like back at 8 in the morning, you sent me a prerequisite video that you'd obviously been waiting for it to come, because it obviously happens to a lot of people. Because that's a minor thing, but a major thing, because that's when you're sort of in my mind that day specifically. I was like, fuck this, basically, because it's not happening. But then you get over it. And I was probably say there's 3 times I thought that. And I know I said it the other day, but I'm kind of more in tune with it. That's how it goes up and down. But at the start, it was like, it was a major wobble where I'm thinking, what am I doing here? It's not happening, wasting my time. So it's
And how,
not to get
yeah,
hung up on the scales.
yeah. And overcoming that is so game changing.
Also,
So,
starting to notice that like you can be a weight and still be looking in better shape. You know what I mean? Again, because I'm still whatever weight I am, but I still feel that I'm in better shape than I was when it was at. You know what I'm trying to say? That you can still
yeah,
be interested, Nick, even though you're a bigger weight.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But
That's 100.
the scales was a big thing, because like I used to proper have a wobbler in the house,
Yeah.
but you get beyond that.
Yeah, I like people to overcome that and also become desensitized to the fluctuations and
Yeah,
understand them. Like from an educational perspective, this is why body weight fluctuates. There's lots of reasons. And then over time, you can become desensitized to it. And now, what probably triggered you more 3, 4, 5 months ago still pisses you off now, but nowhere near to that extent
yeah.
because you've overcome it so many more times, right?
Even just this week, it's creeped up, and then obviously today there's a bit came off today, and you're like, well, there you go again. It's dropped off. Whereas, like you say, it annoys you, but before it used to like melt me down. Whereas now it's just like, well, just stay in the game, Duncan. It'll come back down.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what, mate? Because of it always depends on the individual and their relationship with the scales. And I try to get people doing it as frequently as possible so we can take the averages across the weeks because they're way more important than the daily fluctuations. But you can probably begin stepping away from them a little bit more. I would always recommend to frequently self-monitor once or twice a week. I do. And when you look at habits and behaviors of people who have successfully dieted, and I have looked at a lot of this, they still frequently self-monitor. whether that's once or twice a week. So just stepping on scales once might be enough, just so you can keep checking in with that. But you probably don't need to be doing it every day now
But
or
for
much
me,
longer.
but for me, I just like. But again, from my perspective, I just like doing that. That's just part of what I am now. I do it, and that's how. Because for me, it works like, okay, I know it might come off, but I know when I've had my cheap food on a Saturday night or whatever, and then I step on it, I know already I'm probably expecting to put in between half a kilo and a kilo on. So I just like to see that, and then I know I've got to get back on it psychologically. Just marks my dial back into what normal routine is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. That's it, right? It's just picking and being able to pick and choose your indulgences over the weekends, and then being able to get kind of straight back on your routine Monday. Whereas
I go straight back on a Sunday, so it's a Saturday, maybe afternoon, night, and then Sunday I just dial back into what I'm doing normally.
Yeah, nice. Just have a couple of maintenance days over the weekends.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I say the bigger picture is I'm the living proof of like the total cynic on the whole weight loss. Can't do this, can't do anything, it'll never happen, I hate it all. You're all full of rubbish. No, but and here I am 6 months later, 2 stone lighter. So like it can be done.
Knocking on the door, 30 pounds leaner, mate. That's huge. Fitter, faster, stronger.
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
feeling your best.
Yeah.
Dude, amazing. Mate, thanks so much for your time. This has gone so... I was a bit nervous before this because I was like, I'm speaking to someone that does podcasts. I'm kind of winging it still a little bit, but this has been exactly what I hoped it would.
But when people listen, they'll get a good laugh because I've obviously got my phone voice on, because when I do my own podcast, it's full on local dialect.
I've listened to your podcast on YouTube and I thought, what are these guys even talking about?
I bet you can't understand a word of what we're saying.
So is this not even your proper voice?
Yes, isn't it? No, if I was to speak properly, you wouldn't understand a word I said.
I've watched a couple on YouTube. I'm gonna, because there's 4 of you that sit around a table, right?
Yeah. So it's
What is
going well. We're up to about 2,000 downloads a week now. So
Yeah, that's huge. What's the podcast called?
2BAM Pod. So it used to be called Two Blokes and a Mic, because there was me, my mate Mass, and Mike. But then my mate Shed joined, so it's 2BAM Pod now. We sort of rebranded, so it's just 4 lads chatting about the week of sport, basically, and then just anything goes. As you've probably heard, anything goes, like anything. So we're getting numbers, so we could probably push it on to be sponsored. But to what we talk about, though, nobody's going to sponsor us.
Dude, well, look, mate, if there's sponsorship opportunities, you just let me know.
It's wild, though. No, I'm just saying, because we will talk. The only thing we don't talk about is obviously racism and sexism, obviously. But we talk about anything else. Like, it's just whatever's happened at the weekend, anything goes. And that's why people like it, because they say it's just like sitting with your mates in the boozer, and that's why it's been relatively successful. But like I say, we got the stuff through saying we were in the top 10 or 15% in the UK or something for our stats. So one, it shows how many podcasts there obviously is. With the numbers we're getting, it's not huge, but still decent for 4 lads from the middle of nowhere that just decided to start something in lockdown.
And then imagine the compounding effect of where you are now compared to where you started and where you might be in another 2-3 years.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided to do up the studio and then try and push the YouTube thing. Like, you really need to be on the ball with that like and subscribe and all that kind of patter. We're not quite there yet, but we'll on TikTok. We're seeming to be getting a bit of traction on TikTok, to be honest. Mike always puts on like the funniest clip from the episode, and some of them have got like sort of 30,000 views and stuff. So we're getting a wee bit of traction on that. But we also know we're always going to be niche, because we started talking like this in the first couple. Like, one of my mates actually texted me the other day going, "Oh, I was listening to your mate Mass talking, it's hilarious." And then we realised if you're going to make a go, you have to be authentic. So I had to be in our like local dialect, normal accent. And that's how it took off there, because everybody was like, "Why are you talking like that?" But I enjoy it. It's a good laugh. It's a good laugh.
Yeah, nice, dude. I will put the link to your podcast under when I'll post this on YouTube, and I'll put the link to that under this video as well.
Yeah, sound.
Dude, nice one. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I better dial back into work.
You absolute legend, dude. Thanks so much for your time, mate. I'm sure this will hopefully help a few people, so I really do appreciate that, mate. And I'll drop you a message after this. So over and out.
All right, man. Speak to you soon. Take it easy.
Peace out, Dunk. See you, mate.
See you later.